Tonight, we talk about the prospects for next year's elections with members of a group trying to push leaders together to solve the country's biggest problems. There's also talk about possible involvement in a third-party presidential candidate effort. Joining us from No Labels are Ryan Clancy, chief strategist, Admiral Dennis Blair, member of the board, and Benjamin Chavis, national co-chair. I guess, Ryan, I'll start with you. The purpose of your group, if you were to give an elevator speech, is what?
We've been around for a decade just trying to give a voice to the common sense majority in this country that has been ignored for so long. And we've done most of our work in Congress, a lot of the decent bipartisan stuff that's gotten done these last couple of years. Our allies are right in the middle of it. And now, as you noted at the top, we're taking a look at 2024.
Mr. Chavis, you look at the headlines and you look at where this race is starting to appear like it's heading. President Biden announcing a re-election effort, and former President Trump looking like he is dominating in the GOP primary. The headlines, Reuters, voters say neither Biden nor Trump should run in 24. The Hill, majorities don't want Biden, Trump to run in 24. Wall Street Journal, CNN, Washington Post, CNBC, Univision, BBC, they all have similar headlines. And do you see an opening here for a third party?
Well, there's an opening, but I think the headlines reflect that the majority of the American people do not want to see a rematch of 2020. So the question is, what can a group like No Labels that we are involved in provide other choices for the American people? Common sense, majority, addressing from a bipartisan perspective.
So it would be a unity ticket if it happened?
I think with the way we are divided, I think Democrats and Republicans need to come together and stand together for what's best for our nation.
Admiral, there are many people skeptical of this effort because it's been talked about before. Kellyanne Conway said DeSantis should wait for 28. Biggest threat to Trump is third-party spoiler. There are Democrats who say this is all about a spoiler that gives the election to Trump if it's Biden versus Trump. What do you say to that spoiler argument?
Yeah, I think a couple of things. Number one, we're being criticized both from the left and the right, so I think we're about in the right place. Number two, the criticisms are getting louder, which means that we're being taken more seriously by these traditional parties that have not served what most Americans want. And if the parties come to their senses and move towards the center, which is how we've historically gotten things done in this country, we'll stand down.
The Wall Street Journal did a look back at the '92 election, and it looked at Ross Perot, 19% of the vote. And it said basically, according to the vote, that the exit polling showed that there would be an even split going to Clinton or going to Bush. Do you fight back the spoiler possibility if you all do this? With that, or what?
Sure. Well, we've taken a look at that race, and you're right. Perot, who's arguably the last time there was a ticket that ran with an appeal to the middle of the country, pulled evenly from both sides. But the other thing we'd say is we're sitting here today. No one has any idea who a candidate would be.
We have some sound from the president's video and the former president. Take a listen.
The threat the MAGA Republicans pose is to take us to a place we've never been, and where the last guy tried to take us.
If you took the 5 worst presidents in the history of the United States, they would not have done near the destruction to our country as Joe Biden.
So it's not definitive, but it looks like it's heading that way, Mr. Chavis. If it's not Biden versus Trump again, do you get in this race with No Labels? Does it have to be those two?
No, it doesn't have to be those two. I think as of today, the majority of Americans say they don't want to see a rematch. So what No Labels is doing, we're going state by state to get ballot access to make sure that we're in position to offer a different choice, a better choice.
How many are you on?
Well, we're on over 4, but we're working in all 50 states plus the District of Columbia. So our goal is over the next 12 months is to get in all of the states.
Is that a logistical challenge?
Yeah, we've been at this for a year. We've already gotten over 600,000 signatures. Feel very good about our plan to get on the ballot in all the states.
What about specific candidates, Admiral? Have you talked to people? Do you have somebody in mind?
We're open right now. We don't have any particular group that we're pushing, but I think our requirements are that they believe, and that they've shown by their past record, that they can reach across the aisle, that they are in the center of what most Americans want, not off on the extremes, that they have integrity, and that they will follow the center rather than being yanked to either side, like these two candidates that we just heard, who are, you know, running pretty extreme agendas.
Is there, you know, people I talk to say, is this real? Is this funded? Are they going to get on ballots? Is it a reality?
It's real, it's funded, and look, we know all the reasons there's skepticism around an effort like this, and everybody wants to know, well, why is this time different? Well, here's a couple of reasons this time is different. The public has never been this pessimistic about the economy. They've never been less confident that their kids are going to be better off than they are.
Yeah, Dr. Chavis, we polled, you know, just interesting people that they thought Republicans and Democrats could potentially be on a ticket. Names that come up: Joe Manchin, Mark Warner, Republicans. Larry Hogan. Tim Scott's probably going to run for the Republican nomination, but he fits in this bill. Chris Sununu. There are many others probably who fit under this umbrella.
There are many. And the thing is about, I think what is interesting, rather than closing the door on choices, we're trying to open the door on more choices. The only prerequisite that we require is that it be bipartisan, that it be bicameral. We need unity. I come out of the civil rights movement. And No Labels is a movement that's organizing at the grassroots level in all 50 states to provide a better choice for the 2024 election.
Would there be a convention? Would there be?
We've got a convention planned for Dallas, April 2024. Now, whether or not we nominate a ticket there is still to be determined.
And what's the contingent is basically what I was asking.
There's really two thresholds. So number one, about a year from now, the public has got to decide they are unhappy enough with the two major party nominees, and that there needs to be a potential path to victory for a unity ticket. If both those things aren't met, then we're not nominating a ticket. We have no interest on going off on a lark and nominating a candidate or a ticket that has no chance to win.
Admiral, do you think this is the time that the party system is over?
We can handle our threats around the world if we can just get together as a country the way we have when we've been faced with challenges before. But our friends and our enemies are watching closely, and unless we can show the sort of bipartisan American solving our problems, being powerful, being the country that we've been in the past, our kids are going to live in a much worse world than we had the privilege of living in, and that's what motivates me.
Well, we're going to be following it very closely. We appreciate you coming on and talking about it, and we'll be watching closely. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bret.